Why are you looking at me, LJ? What the hell?
All right. Here we go. Let me put our formulas up there. Because this is what it's going to look like on Wednesday. You're going to just have all this stuff written up here. And we got to know, we don't have to know the formulas, but we need to know which one goes with. Okay, so let's do a quick review here just to make sure. Let me number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. Which ones are arithmetic? Which ones are for arithmetic sequences? 4 is definitely arithmetic. I'll put an A there. 3 is arithmetic, that's right. All the rest of these are geometric. Notice R, R, R. What is R? The common ratio. What kind of sequences have a ratio? Geometric. So if it's geometric, you're going to use an R formula. If it's arithmetic, you're not using an R formula. What's the difference between these two? This is finding the sum. If it's an S formula, it's finding the sum, adding them up. If it's not an S formula, then it's just concerning a number in the list, a term. All right, so here we go. We have one more problem to do in this section. We're in 953C, and we have this sequence. The directions tell me it's infinite, but even if they didn't, this would tell me it's infinite, right? There's no mention of stopping this thing, it's just dot, 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 so infinite. Okay, which formula am I going to use? There's only one formula up here that deals with infinite. Which one is it? Number 1, that's your infinite formula. So, I need to find my common ratio. Can anybody tell or figure out what I am multiplying by to get from term to term? No, that's a good guess, but it wouldn't be negative, Evan. The only way it can be negative is if the terms are going back and forth. Okay, yeah, we're on C. B is negative 1 half, yeah, for sure. Anybody tell? Well, one way you can tell is to take this divided by this. So second divided by first. What is 4 divided by 6? 2/3. Another way you can tell, I think it's really easy to tell here to here. What's happening to the denominator? It's getting multiplied by 3. What's happening to the numerator? It's getting multiplied by 2. But either way, somehow you got to figure out that it's 2/3. All right? Now, use our formula. The sum is going to be the first term divided by 1 minus the ratio. Always figure out your denominator. What's 1 minus 2/3? 1/3. And then 6 divided by 1/3. I think back to 3rd grade and I do 6 times 3/1. But if you want to do that on your calculator, you can, but make sure that's in parentheses. 6 divided by 1/3. Is that all right with everyone? So your answer is 18. All right, let's look at the last one. Number 8. We're going to write as a fraction in lowest terms. just been 0.4, plain old 0.4, that would be 4/10, right? And then you could reduce that. But when it's repeating 4s, you can't really do anything with it. I mean, you can't put it over a number. Who had Mrs. Field in the summertime back when you were incoming? Okay, you guys, we did these problems. Does anybody remember, the most is back there, I don't remember anything about that. That was a long time ago, and it was. All right, let me show you how you can do this problem. But from now on, you won't have to do it this way because you're gonna see the trick. And here's what this equals. Would you agree that 0.4 repeating is 0.4 plus 0.04 plus 0.004 and so on? Would you agree that if you added all these up, you would get 0.4 repeating? Some of you are looking like I'm speaking a foreign language here. I know it's Monday, but look what happens when you add. See what's going to happen when you add all those up? Now, this is a geometric sequence, believe it or not. I am multiplying by what? Each term I am dividing by 10 or multiplying by 1/10. Take your calculator and multiply 0.4 times 0.1. And then take that times another 0.1. See what's happening? When you multiply by 0.1, you just put in an extra 0. So this sequence is actually geometric with a ratio of 0.1. It's infinite, that dot goes on forever. So 0.4 over 1 minus 0.1. My first term is 0.4, my ratio is 0.1. What is 1 minus 0.1? 0.9. And if I multiply by 10 to get rid of the decimal, I end up with 4/9. It turns out that when you have one digit repeating, your denominator is 9. So this is 4/9. So if this had been 0.2 repeating, the fraction would be 2/9. And if it's 0.7 repeating, the fraction is 7/9. So a plain 0.4 is 4/10. A repeating 0.4 is 4/9. So one digit repeating, it's just the fraction is just going to be whatever that is over 9. If you want to work it out, this is the way you could work it out. But if you just want to remember that's going to be 4/9, 2/9, 7/9, that's great too. Okay. Just to tie this into what you already know. What's 0.3 repeating? What's the fraction for that? 1/3. You know that, right? You've seen that lots of times. Well, using our little trick, 0.3 repeating would be 3/9. Is 3/9 the same as 1/3? Yeah. So, yeah. All right, now, the fun comes in the next problem when you have 2 digits repeating.
Do you want us reducing that?
Always, always.
So you want us taking 4/9 down to 2/3?
4/9 doesn't go to 2/3.
Oh, okay.
4/9 doesn't reduce. You want to reduce if you can. Okay, now let's go back and talk about this just real quick. See if you can maybe take a guess as to what that is. 0.4 is 4/10. Repeating is 4/9. What is 0.63? Just all by itself, just plain old 0.63. 63 over 100. Anybody want to take a wild guess what a repeating 0.63 might be? 63 over 99. I heard somebody say it. That's exactly right. 63 over 99. Now that does reduce. So we'll start out with 63 over 99. But then, let's see. 9 goes into that 7, 11. Type 7 divided by 11 on your calculator. 7 divided by 11.
Yep.
What'd you get? Repeating 6 threes? Yeah. Yeah. Now, problem C is harder. What makes problem C harder? The whole shebang isn't repeating. It's got that 1 in there, and then it's got the repeating part. So, pay attention. This looks like a test question or quiz question. 0.1 plus 0.04, 0.004, and so on. For problems like this, you really need to think about your fraction as a repeating, or as a sequence, as a geometric sequence. So there's a 0.1, take that out. Now there's a 0.04, take those out, 0.004, and so on. This part is the actual series part, because he doesn't fit the pattern. He's extra. So we're going to set him aside, and we're going to figure out what this is. And then when we get that figured out, we will add back in the 1/10. Okay? So here we go. Geometric sequence. First term is 0.04. I'm only adding up the part with the 4s. What's my ratio? 0.1. Very, very good. How many places, going from term to term to term, how many places are we moving the decimal? 1, that's 0.1. In general, if you have 1 repeating digit, your ratio will be 0.1. If you have 2 repeating, it's 0.01, and so on. So let's figure out what this is. This is 0.04 over 0.9. I'm going to go ahead and move the decimal point 2 places to get rid of it. So I move it 2 places. It's like timesing by 100. So I'm moving, so that's 4 over 90. I know that reduces, but don't. Just hang on to that for a second. 4 over 90. So this part, the 4 part of the number, is 4/90. I need to add in the 1/10. That original non-repeating part. How do I do that? Get a common denominator. So I have 4 plus 9, so 13/90, and that is your answer. So just to check, type 13 divided by 90 on your calculator and see if it gives you this. Better. Or I made a mistake. Oh, the next one should be easy for you. Can you do the next one? You don't have to go through all this for the next one. What is repeating 3s? 1/3. So what do we have? 2 1/3? So the answer is 2 1/3. Because repeating 3's are a third. All right, now we got a hard one. Last one. Who's paying attention? How do we start?
What? What's it? 0, 3.
Well, so the 1.7 isn't part of the repeating part. So he's separate. And then you're right, Jarius. Then we're going to say 0.0, taking this out, so 0.041. And then I would have 0.00041, and so on. So I'm taking this out, so it becomes a 0, so 041. Then I'm taking all of this out, so I have 00041, and I could keep going, but I don't need to. This is the part you're gonna add up. Then you will put the 1.7 back in. So here we go. First term is 0.041. What is our ratio this time? Notice 2 numbers are repeating, 4 and 1. So my ratio is 0.01. Exactly right. If one number repeats, like in our last problem that I erased, if one number repeats, it's 0.01. If 2 numbers repeat, it's 0.01. So 0.041 over 0.99. Now I'm going to get rid of the decimal, so this time I'm going to have to move it 3 places. That's top and bottom both, 3 places. And then I'll take that 41,990 and add this to it. That was the part that didn't repeat. So that's 17 over 10. So now I'll get a common denominator. And I'm going to add 41,990 to 1683,990. Which gives me a grand total of 1724,990. Now we just did a ton of work, but I think that reduces. How does that reduce? What could I reduce that by? Maybe by 2. So 862 over 495. That's our answer. Okay. Well, there's a lot of talking back there. This is kind of hard. Probably should be paying really focused attention. Just, I don't want to hear you anymore. I love you.
Got it.
All right. Let me hand out some review material now. Those are kind of tough. That homework will be due on Thursday. That homework will be due on Thursday.
If you get like the fraction, you have to figure it out. Okay, I'm ready. Thing repeating, and 1/3, so finish off right there.
I forgot about her.
And now she got.
Oh, it is.
I'm never gonna eat the
Okay, we're gonna do part of this for partners, but part of it, as a class, especially problem number one. Problem number one. Let's make sure that we know how to do it. All right, so problem number one, if it had been 0.4 repeating, we would go straight to 4/9. If it had been 0.48 repeating, we would go straight to 48/99, right? And then reduce that. But this one is 0.4 with just the 8 repeating. So it is literally 0.4, 0.08, 0.008, and so on. These kind are like, you can't just jump to the answer, you have to work these out. This is not part of the sequence, that's the repeating part. The repeating part is the sequence. So I will do the repeating part and then add in the 0.4 at the end. Okay, so what does this look like? It's infinite, it's geometric always, I'm using that formula up there. The first term is 0.08. What is the ratio? 0.1. How do we know it's 0.1? One number is repeating. If two numbers were repeating, it would be 0.01, but it's 0.1. So we have 0.08 over 0.9. Now, who's been paying attention? What have I been doing every time once I got to this point? Get rid of the decimal. In this case, 2 places. So it's going to be 8 over 90. 2 places, top and bottom. Got to go the same number of places on the top and the bottom. Now I know that reduces, but I'm not going to reduce it just yet because what do I have to do with it? Add it to 4/10. And if I don't reduce it, it makes my common denominator easier. My common denominator will be 90. So I have 8 plus 36. What is that, 44 over 90? Which I can divide by 2 and get 22/45. You have to show your work, but you can check it on your calculator. So do 22 divided by 45 and see if you get the original problem. If you don't, then you know you've made a mistake and you have to go back and rework something. Are you good on that? Those are a little tricky. Now, part 2, we talked about last time. It's the limits. So with you and your partner, use your notes, see what you can remember. Find the limits of numbers.
What the hell? What's the daddy?
You check out the
You do.
She was a fairy. Yeah. What the hell? And he was a fairy. Yeah.
What are you wearing? Black.
Well, not gonna make us wait till we get there. You gonna see. City of, what's the theme again? City of what? What's the song? City of Song?
I thought it was all.
It's the same thing.
Oh my gosh. I know we're all excited about the prom, but come on, let's get focused on
This
math
is
class. I have no idea. He was making animals.
She just
Let's go.
This one got the ass insane.
Alright,
Okay. Hey, what did you and your partner decide for A? These require no work. You should know the rules. What is the answer to A? 0. Why is the answer 0? Because negative 2/3 is less than 1. 2/3. The fraction 2/3 has an absolute value less than 1. Whenever that fraction has an absolute value less than 1, the limit is going to be 0. Period. All right. What about B? Oh no. B is negative 6. Why is B negative 6? Because I have 6n squared over negative 1n squared. There's an n squared on the top and an n squared on the bottom, folks. Put them together. Negative.
I was not lost.
How about C?
No limit.
No limit. So you can write no limit, you can write divergent, whichever you want. No limit. Because 7/3 is bigger than 1. You don't have to think about this, you guys. You know the rule. 7/3 is bigger than 1, no limit. All right, what about D? No limit.
No limit.
Because we have an n cubed on the top, we have 2 of them on the top, but we have none on the bottom. And 2 over 0 does not exist. No.
Yeah.
How about E?
That's a good one.
0. 99 over 100 is less than 1. The limit is 0. And how about F?
5 over negative 7.
Negative 5/7. That's right. 5 over negative 7 or negative 5/7.
Yeah.
If you miss those questions on the quest, it will be because you didn't study. Those are simply rules. They're easy. No math to do.
Everybody was
All right, now number 3 does require a little math. All right, so it says that we have an arithmetic sequence. I know the 4th term and the 9th term. Okay? Now, if it's arithmetic, that means that I am adding, right? To get from term to term. How many additions am I doing to get from the 4th to the 9th? 5. So 5 differences, 5 things I'm adding. I'm adding D, adding D, adding D, adding D. 5 of those have to add up to the total, which is from 7 to negative 8, from 7 to negative 8. So 7 to negative 8 is how far? Negative 15? So I must be adding negative 3. So minus 3, minus 3, minus 3, minus 3, minus 3. Perfect. Worked out. Unfortunately, I don't need those. I need this one. That's the first term. I need this one right here. So if I did minus 3 to go that way, I will do plus 3. So this will be 10, 13, 16. So So the first term in the sequence is 16. Now, for some reason, I want the 2023 term. So formula I'm going to use is my arithmetic formula right here. So a sub 2023 is going to be 16 minus 3 times 2022. Why is it 2022? Because the formula says n minus 1, and what's n? 2023. Type it in on my calculator. And I got negative 6,050 as my answer.
Yep.
Say that.
What kind of a sequence do I have here? Geometric. And if it's geometric, it has to have a ratio. So what am I multiplying by? Negative 6. I am going to write the explicit rule. And you might remember, I'm using this formula right here. When I write my explicit rule, I put in my first term and my ratio. That's all I put in. So my first term is negative 1. My ratio is negative 6. And the formula says the power is n minus 1. That's it. Don't try to simplify that. It will never, that one, the geometric, will never simplify. So don't try to. Stop right here. That's the answer. That's your explicit term. Now what about B? B is different because B is what kind of a sequence? Arithmetic, which means I'll be using this formula. But again, if I'm writing the explicit formula, I only plug in that and that. That's it. So the nth term will be the first term plus what's my common difference? 6 times n minus 1. Now the geometric never simplifies, the arithmetic always simplifies. So you'll do your distributive property. And it looks like 6n minus 7. Or if you did it the other way, negative 7 plus 6n. It doesn't make any difference. Those seem hard, but they're incredibly easy. What? If you use an explicit formula, you are finding a term. Always, it's going to be a term formula. So it's always going to be a sub n. Always. You're finding an explicit rule for a term. All right, here we go. Number 5. Take a minute, you and your partner, and see if you can do these, identifying them and finding the common difference or ratio. Come on, you should be working with your partner now, talking about problem 5.
You're so guy. You know. Yeah.
What that?
That one is
So one of them either added or
I think no, because it's a 5. Oh, I said arithmetic. I was talking about B. Negative 2. Oh, yeah. Wait, can you add? Right, yeah, what's the difference? Geometric is multiplying, and then arithmetic is adding. Wait, did you see this? Wait, did y'all get B? What's that?
This one.
All right, my friends.
For B, did you get arithmetic?
What'd you get for A?
Geometric.
Geometric, and what was the ratio? -2. Perfect. Everybody good? All right, what about B?
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic, and the difference was 3? Good. How about C?
I said not.
Neither, that's right, neither, that's a neither. Now, you might be looking at the denominator and saying, hey, but they're all going up by +1. Yes, but the whole term isn't going up by +1. So there's a pattern there, absolutely, but it is not arithmetic or geometric. How about D? Arithmetic,
Different.
and the difference is 5.
Geometric.
Geometric, and the ratio is, what is it?
3.
It's not 3,
Eight?
1/3. Aren't we going down? Aren't we getting smaller? If you multiply by 3, your terms keep getting bigger. So you're not multiplying by 3, you're actually dividing by 3, which is timesing by 1/3. All right, Louis, so what's the program here? All right, find the indicated term or sum. Oh, we kind of just did one of these. A sub 2023. What kind of a sequence do I have here?
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic. So I'll be using this formula right here, arithmetic. So A sub 2023 equals 5, that's the first term. What's my ratio, or my difference? What am I adding? 4 times 2022? And that will be 8,093. Boy, that was easy. Is everybody good on that one? You had to see it was arithmetic. You had to pick your formula, but then you just plug stuff in. Okay, I think the next one is just about as easy. What kind of sequence do we have here? Geometric, and it's a dot, 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 and it even says in the problem, find S. So this is the only formula where you find plain S. The other ones is S sub something. This is plain S. So what do I need? I need my first term, and I need my ratio. We just talked about this. How am I getting from term to term? Multiplying by 1/3. So I have 18 divided by 2/3. Again, however you choose to do that doesn't matter to me, but if you're going to divide, you're going to have parentheses. I'm going to do 18 times 3/2 and get 27. All right, the answer you come up with, make sure you're getting 27. A sub 15. Okay, I'm going to use one of these two formulas. It's A sub.
Geometric.
It's geometric, so I'm using the bottom one. I need the first term, which is 1/2. times my ratio. What is my ratio here? 2 to the 14th power. Remember, n is 15, that's n. So n minus 1 is 14. So I can type this in. I got 8,192.
Yep.
Did you?
Yep.
All right. 2 more and then this should be completed. Find S sub 13. So I need to decide if I'm using, which one of these two I'm using, S sub 13. So what kind of a sequence do I have in letter G? Geometric, so I'm using this one. So what do I need to know? I need to know my first term, and then I need to know my ratio. What is my ratio? -3 to the 13th, because that n and that n are the same, over 1 minus -3. Now always use your denominator first, please. So 1 minus -3 is 4. Now I'm going to type in my numerator. 2 minus 2, parentheses, -3 to the 13th equals divided by 4. See if you got 797,162.
Yep.
Practice typing that in. Make sure you're getting that answer. These are kind of tricky. That formula is the hardest one to type in. Okay, one more problem. S sub 317. Okay. Which formula am I going to use? That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to decide which formula are you going to use. So which one is it for this problem? E. It's arithmetic, so it's this guy. So the formula says, put n over 2. First term is 173. Oh no. I need this guy right here, this term right here would be a sub 317. That's what goes in the formula, a sub 317. Do I know the 317th term? Nope. So what am I going to have to do? Figure it out. So a sub 317, using this formula right here, a sub 317 is 173. What's my common difference?
4.
Be careful.
-4.
-4 times 316. So my first term is 173. My common difference is -4. N is 317, so n minus 1 is 316. So I can figure that out. That is -1091. Now what do I do with that? That goes here, -1091. This is going to be the answer to the question. I had to do this in order to do that. Oh my, I got -145,503 as my final answer. Anybody match that? I think that's right. Is that okay? Anybody have a question about that? More practice.
Right, I was getting the code up, but I didn't write the code more. My teacher I know what it is. Yeah, I ain't gonna let everybody see something.
By the way, that thing we just did was like a practice quest. So that's what you have to do on Friday. Those are the kinds of problems you have to do. So here are some additional.
No, it's I'm not ready.
What the hell, dude? What the hell?
Friday we did.
Alright, here we go. Number one, let's get as much of this done as we can. Tomorrow is our last review day before our quiz on Friday, so here we go. Number one, arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Alright, let's look at A.
No. No,
I think
neither.
that's a big neither.
Yeah, that's a neither.
Because I see a pattern. It looks like I'm adding 3, and then adding 4, and then adding 5. But remember, if I'm arithmetic, I have to be adding the same things. So patterns are great, but if you're not adding the same thing, it's not arithmetic. So A is a neither. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
All right, what about B? Now
Arithmetic.
that's arithmetic, and the difference is 3. Because we keep adding 3. How about C?
Geometric.
Geometric, we are multiplying by
Negative.
-7. -7. Your ratio is -7. How about D? Arithmetic, we are adding -2. The difference is -2. And how about E? Geometric, the ratio is 1/2. 1/2, we're multiplying by 1/2. All good, friends? All right, let's look at number 2. You have to first of all decide whether you are arithmetic or geometric. On these problems, kids, I'm not going to trick you. It's going to be either arithmetic or geometric. So what is it in number 2? Arithmetic or geometric in problem 2? Arithmetic with a common difference of 6. So if it's arithmetic, A sub, it's that formula right there. So A sub 16 will be -2 plus 6 times 15. Good? And what is that? Is that 88? Someone nod, I did that in my head, could be wrong. Got it? All right, number 3. Let's finish the front side of this. Number 3, S sub 12. Now, it's an S sub formula, so you're gonna use one of these. Is it arithmetic or geometric? Geometric, the ratio is 2. So it's this formula. So S sub 12 is 3 minus 3 times 2 to the 12 over 1 minus 2. All right, everybody get that? First term was 3, ratio is 2. All right, so what's my denominator? -1. So now I'll type this in. 3 minus 3 times 2 to the 12 equals 12,285 divided by -1. 12,285. Number 4 is a dead giveaway. S equals. It's gotta be this formula right here. Right? ratio in problem 4, 1/2. So we have 30 divided by 1 minus 1/2, which is 30 divided by 1/2 or 0.5, however you want to think about it. And again, I don't care, the answer's 60. Make sure you are getting 60 as your answer. Oh, don't pick up yet. We got number 5. We can do number 5 in 2 minutes. Here we go. Ready? Next page. Evaluate the limits.
-1/2.
-1/2 is A. Why is it -1/2? Because it's 2 over -4. Right? 2 over -4. What about B? 5/7. 5/7. What about C? 0. Very good, because 3/4 is less than 1.
No limit.
What about D?
Divergent.
D is 0. D is 0. Because you have 0n squared over 6n squared, and 0 over 6 is 0. How about E? No limit, 4/3 is bigger than 1. And how about F? No limit, because you have 2n squared over 0n squared. All right, we'll finish this up tomorrow, and we'll do the other one.
Take your time.
Learn your rules, everyone.